Hi, this is Jack Schaub, and this is Chiller Service Advice, a video cast designed for the curious observer to the seasoned HVAC professional. This is episode 5, how to determine what refrigerant is in your system without a nameplate or tag. So inevitably, you're going to come up on a unit where you don't know the brand, you don't know the name, someone has taken the label off of it, or sun-drenched it out to where you can't see anything, and you don't know what refrigerant is in the system. These days, units, air conditioners, chillers can have all different kinds of refrigerant in them. 410A, the old R22, 404A, 407C. There's a lot of different ones in there, and you want to make sure that you can be able to figure out what refrigerant is in your system before you begin to service. So there's 3 easy ways to be able to determine what refrigerant is in the system. The first is install your refrigeration gauges to the suction and discharge. And we'll use our props here. And make sure that the system itself has been shut off and is equalized and balanced out for probably about 15 minutes. That way the suction and discharge are approximately the same. Now, most of the time you're going to be outside to be able to work on this. So what next thing you have to do is you have to measure the ambient air where you are located. Likely the outdoor unit's going to be on the condenser where the compressors are. Measure the air temperature where you're located. We're going to use an example of 80 degrees. So it's an 80-degree day. You've put on your gauges. There's at least refrigerant in the system. And you notice that the pressures on both of them are approximately 245 psi. Well, if you look at the gauges, on the outside, you're going to have pressures. On the inside of these gauges, they all have temperatures and labeled colors for different refrigerants. These gauges here cover 410A, 404A, and R22. So if you look at both the gauges sitting at 245 psi, and you look down the angle of the gauge, you're going to see 410A and 80 degrees. So it tells you that 410A is in there. So that's how you do it, but it has to be off and it has to equalize for a little while. So different refrigerants are going to naturally have a static pressure at rest depending on the outside temperature. So know your outside temperature, look at your gauges, make sure they're equalized, and then you can tell which one is the temperature at which you're working. The next thing is you find the metering valve. Now each system, air conditioner or chiller, is going to have a metering valve that is designed for the refrigerant that is in the system. So you find it, and in the old thermal expansion valve, metering valve, TXV, you're going to find the head on there that's going to look like the top of a mushroom. And on every one there should be a tag or a stamp of the type of refrigerant that's in there. And most of the time, like in this one, it's color-coded. So each refrigerant has its own color code for representing itself. So for instance, this one is green, which is R22. If you found one of these and it's pink, it's 410A. If you find it orange, it's 404A. So each one has its own connotation of color. So if you just look at this, it tells you immediately the system was designed for R22, and that's an easy way to be able to do it, whether it's running or not. Last is take a look at the safety settings. Most of the time on the discharge. So if you can find a controller that's going to have the safety settings for the high or the low, find the high pressure safety, see what it's set for. If you find that the high pressure safety is set for 500 or 550 psi, then likely it's going to be 410A. It won't be R134A or R22, but if you find the high pressure safety set for a much lower amount, such as maybe only 250, then it could be 134A. It's more a check and balance than anything else. So I hope this has helped you, and see you next time.